From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
I just don't think I would have made it if that Narcan wouldn't have been there.
Surviving an overdose. What one Billings woman credits for her survival as the county sees a spike in overdoses.
Welcome home. Thank you for your service.
The final Vietnam Veterans Ceremony, what veterans in attendance at Yellowstone National Cemetery are holding on to.
This year, getting chicks was really tough.
Plus, how high demand for chicks is impacting Montanan 4-H programs. Good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Thursday, March 27th. I'm Augusta McDonnell here with Miller Robson.
I'm going to salute, but I'm also going to do this.
And I'm going to pitch for you.
There you go.
But then you keep tipping fouls.
I'm just not a ball player. I'm sorry. Is that Yankee Stadium? Yeah, getting ready for opening day.
But you're a fan.
I'm a big fan. Go Braves. Go Bravos. Hopefully this is our year. Absolutely. You know, today's going to be a great day to go out and play a little baseball in our area. Just really nice and warm, a lot of sunshine to start. Maybe some record temperatures. Yesterday wasn't a record. We hit 73 in Billings, but 21 degrees above the norm with that high of 73. Our low of 40, 10 degrees above average. Was breezy yesterday. Still going to be breezy today, but I will tell you this. Western foothills, especially areas like Big Timber down to Livingston, you can have gusts at least up to 40 miles an hour today ahead of this front that's going to come in. Now, it's been dry the last few days. We're still ahead for the month and for the year in terms of our moisture totals. We're going to add to that total there for the month. We're actually looking pretty good with some moisture coming in. Snow totals over 2.5 inches in the hole for the month. We actually have a chance to make a decent dent in that, especially on Sunday morning. I'll explain why coming up before the season. Almost 4.5 inches on the plus side, pacing ahead. So that's pretty good news there. Temperature wise, we're at 41 here in Billings. Feels like 33. Winds out of the southwest. It's breezy at 15 miles an hour. Across the area, we've got 30s and 40s. A really nice start. Really nice day today with highs in the 60s, 70s, and yes, a chance to hit some 80s. Who could see record temperatures today before that system moves in? We'll tell you about that coming up.
All right, much to come, Miller. Thanks for tracking those details and swing for the fences or the foul ball thing.
Thank you.
All righty, now let's get to our local headlines. The wife of the Billings man killed in a ski lift incident on Red Lodge Mountain 2 weeks ago has now initiated an independent investigation into the cause and circumstances of that accident. Megan Zinni, the wife of Jeff Zinni, is now being represented by Heenan & Cook and has requested any information into his death. She hired Brandon Conlin of Alpine Engineering of Utah 2 days after the accident to preserve and collect evidence. However, Heenan & Cook claim that Conlin, a senior engineer with a specialty in ski lifts, still has not been provided the same access to information as the experts hired by JMA Ventures. Red Lodge Mountain says that Zinni died after falling from the triple chairlift on March 10th, an accident they believe was caused by an erratic wind gust. The law firm says that while the investigation will not bring Jeff back, Megan is committed to preventing other families from suffering similar tragedies. We did reach out to Red Lodge late last night for a response, but that was already after business hours. We're waiting to hear back from them today. And Riverstone Health continues to raise the alarm this morning after a concerning spike in overdoses. Yellowstone County has seen 6 overdoses in just 3 days this week, a definite uptick from the average of 2 to 3 in 1 week. It hits close to home for a Billings woman now making the most of her second chance at life after surviving an overdose herself. Our Haley Monaco shares her story.
Dawn Carter's story is one of overcoming obstacles. She struggled with addiction, and after an overdose, she says this is what saved her life.
At that time, the biggest priority was just getting high with whatever was in front of me.
For years, Dawn Carter was stuck in active addiction.
Living on the street from like hotel room to hotel room, I was stealing to support my drug habit.
First starting off with prescription pain pills, then moving on to heroin.
Every day that you use heroin, your likelihood of dying from an overdose goes up.
And that's exactly what happened to Carter in 2021.
I woke up and I realized that I had overdosed and that I had been Narcaned. Thankfully, the people that were with me were responsible enough that they grabbed that Narcan and gave it to me. I do not remember anything before that.
Naloxone, or Narcan, is a drug that can quickly reverse an overdose. Take a look at this Billings police body cam footage from 2021 responding to an overdose. Within seconds of being administered a second dose of Narcan, this woman is back.
Can you hear me?
There you go. You okay?
Yeah. Stay down.
In Yellowstone County, our typical weekly amount is 2 to 3 overdoses.
Over a 3-day span, there were 6 overdoses in Yellowstone County, all believed to be related to an opioid of some sort.
So we'll continue monitoring for the rest of the week and wait until we return to our baseline numbers of seeing only 2 to 3 overdoses every week.
Riverstone Health epidemiologist Taylor Cook says identification of this spike came from ODMAP, an overdose tracking system for first responders and health departments.
It's a mapping program where you can put in anywhere that an overdose happens. So it gets really specific down to the street, a house, a school, anything.
In this case, 5 people received Narcan. 1 person died.
If I had not been Narcaned that day, then I wouldn't have even had the chance to get where I'm at today.
Now, with over 3 years clean, Carter has built her life again, with a great job and her kids back.
My kids, you know, they would have been the ones who suffered the most if I hadn't made it through that day.
Regaining the light back in her eyes and the will to keep going.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
In Billings, Haley Monaco, MTN News.
Haley, thanks so much. And authorities seized less fentanyl in 2024, but did end up making more arrests than the previous year. Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen saying the Rocky Mountain High-Intensity Drug Trafficking Task Force seized more than 275,000 doses of fentanyl in Montana last year. That's a decrease of more than 30% from 2023. However, seizures of drugs like meth, heroin, and cocaine did increase. Task force members also made 551 felony arrests, up from 406 in 2023. Knudsen says some of those taken into custody include members of Mexican drug cartels. And President Donald Trump is pivoting to new automobile tariffs amid new Republican scrutiny over the use of non-government app Signal to discuss military plans. A top House Republican is pushing for an investigation as President Trump says he'll ask Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to review what information should be deemed classified. CBS's Jared Hill reports from New York.
I think it's all a witch hunt. President Donald Trump continued to downplay the growing concerns stemming from The Atlantic's editor Jeffrey Goldberg being mistakenly added to a group chat on Signal, where top Trump officials discussed sensitive military operations.
Nobody's texting war plans. There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth Wednesday after Goldberg published more messages from the chat, including some where Hegseth detailed the specific times F-18 fighter jets would launch to strike a target terrorist. Less than 3 hours later, Hegseth wrote sea-based Tomahawks would be launched.
They're saying nothing happened. I'm saying that this represents a serious breach in national security.
CBS News has learned the top Democrat and Republican on the Senate Armed Services Committee are pushing for a classified briefing and an expedited report from the Inspector General on the incident. Meanwhile, President Trump is turning up the heat on trade. Yesterday, he announced a new 25% tariff on all imported automobiles starting April 2nd.
This is the beginning of Liberation Day in America.
The White House claims the new tariffs will lead to $100 billion in revenue and push companies to make more cars in the U.S. But economists say they could add thousands of dollars to the price of a new car. Jared Hill, CBS News.
President Donald Trump has now issued at least 104 executive orders. That's well ahead of his 100th day in office, and it beats a record held by former President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who signed 99 orders before his 100-day mark. The White House says President Trump is set to sign even more orders today. Now let's get to some Montana politics. The Montana Legislature's Legislative Audit Division has completed their report into Senate President Matt Regier, stating they couldn't find evidence to substantiate allegations of waste, fraud, or abuse against him. Earlier this month, the Senate voted to refer an inquiry to the Audit Division, asking them whether Regier had acted unlawfully in his hiring and use of an attorney while serving as House Speaker. Senator Shelley Vance, who made the motion to refer the issue, cited a Montana Free Press story that questioned whether Regier had legal authority for the hire. The Audit Division's report says there was authority for legislative leaders to bring in outside legal counsel. Senate leadership held a news conference Wednesday after the report was released, where Regier criticized the initial allegations, which he said had been false and misleading.
Everything I went down to our nonpartisan attorneys there in legislative services. They drafted all the contracts. Everything, I relied on them. Is all up and up.
The Audit Division earlier this year conducted an investigation into Regier's predecessor as Senate President, Senator Jason Ellsworth. And yesterday, dozens joined together at the Yellowstone National Cemetery to honor the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. The ceremony commemorating all Vietnam veterans, thanking them for their service, sacrifice, and achievement. More than 36,000 Montanans served in that war. All of the Vietnam vets there were presented with lapel pins. In addition to representing 50 years, it's the final ceremony at Yellowstone National Cemetery.
You go in the streets in town now, and if you're wearing a cap or something, they know you're a veteran. A lot of people stick out their hand and say thanks for your service. And that means a lot. And the fact that we're not going to have ceremonies out here anymore, I understand that.
Coming up at the end of this hour, hear more from the veterans who attended the final ceremony about what being recognized now means to them. And in our ag report this morning, with high egg prices and concerns over the bird flu, demand for chicks has flown the coop. The effects from that now rippling across Montana. In this morning's Montana Ag Story, MTN's Caroline Weiss catches up with the Montana 4-H program, learning just how hard the Treasure State is being hit.
This year, with high demand for chicks, things look a little different for some 4-H kids rearing to raise birds for the county fair.
It was rough because most all of our hatcheries couldn't get chicks out, and you have to have your birds laying by fair.
At many farm stores, chicks didn't fly the coop, they never made it.
It's been nuts.
At Axman Feed Store in Missoula, chicks have been pre-sold for months.
I've had a lot of 4-H leaders and that kind of stuff call and just say, hey, do you guys have any chicks? And I'm like, sorry, no, your best bet is just to go straight through the hatchery. Closest one to us is in Caldwell, Idaho, which is about a half hour's out of Boise.
And it's not just Missoula. Ravalli County 4-H is having trouble too.
A lot of them have indicated to me that they want to get chicks this year, but really haven't been able to.
Ravalli County poultry leader Virginia Chaffin said some families called to check on their chicks only to find out they're not coming soon. Maybe not even until this summer.
The hatchery said, well, you're number 60 on our list, so you might not get them for a while.
Even those who got chicks had some problems.
We finally managed to get some birds, but we did have 2 die just because they were so sick.
Shipping delays and cold weather left 4-Hers scrambling. Some who got chicks even had to switch up their projects.
One family went down to get chicks early in the morning. They were already gone, except for bantams, which wasn't what she wanted, but she said, I came home with 3 bantams anyway.
Despite the problems, the 4-H programs are determined to keep kids participating in poultry.
I think part of 4-H is like learning to deal with, maybe some tougher situations that you might not deal with otherwise, because there are so many things that can go wrong when you're raising animals, and a lot of them aren't in your control.
And the national conversation around bird flu and egg prices is one of those. Chaffin said it's all supply and demand. Hatcheries will catch up, and she hopes those flocking after chicks know what they're in for.
It's quite a commitment, both in time and money, when they have these birds, and hopefully we don't have a glut of eggs come this fall when they all start maturing.
As they wait out the bird market, prep for the fair continues. Ravalli County 4-H is still on the hunt, but Missoula County's poultry pens are chock full of enough chicks for fair.
In March, we got 2 shipments of chicks, so we think they're going to be good to go to fair.
In Missoula, Caroline Weiss, MTN News.